Welcome into a brand new episode of WSI TV. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to another brand new episode of Bishop's Move here on WSI TV. I'm Jordan Bishop and I'm joined by Leah Warren. How are you doing today, Leah?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thanks. So today's topic, we're asking the question, is the coronavirus infecting the market? Before we get into that, I do want to prompt you to go over to WSITV.com. Make sure you sign up for the Daily Vault. You'll also get free access to those daily newsletters we send out when you sign up. So Leah, why don't I hand it off to you here? First of all, what is the coronavirus?
Yeah, so what we're experiencing right now is a specific version of the coronavirus. Coronavirus is an actual general term for a bunch of different viruses. It's a large family of viruses that can cause illness ranging from common cold to more severe diseases. There are a couple that have hit society in the past couple of years. One is the MERS CoV virus, and another one is SARS, which we're all familiar with. SARS was much more frightening when it first came out, but this is a new coronavirus. So it's called a novel coronavirus, and this is a new strain that has not been previously identified. So it just came out on the 31st of December was our first
Right,
case.
yeah, right at the end of the year. So it's a part of the same family as those, but it's technically a new strain of virus, so we're struggling to determine what it is and how to cure it as of right now.
So it's kind of like the flu, where there are lots of different kinds of the flu, and every year we have a different version of the flu. This is a different version of the coronavirus. We've seen coronaviruses, just not this one.
Okay, wow. And I know we were talking earlier, we originally, when you put this presentation together, the infections were 20,000, but they're up to 25,000 at the time of recording. That is a decent amount of people. How many in the United States? There's what, 12 cases in the US. So it is sort of spreading over here, but again, it may not be as bad as what we may initially think, right?
Absolutely. So there's been a lot of scare. There's been a lot of paranoia about this. Colds are scary. Flu is scary every year, and especially new diseases that we don't have a specific kind of cure for.
Right. There's no precedence for them,
Yeah, we haven't found a vaccine for this yet, so that's got everybody worried.
Yeah, and something that really is shocking people about this is the time it takes for symptoms to show. It takes a little while. 12 days is the incubation period, and the symptoms usually won't show till several days after it's been contracted. So it's sort of scary how in the dark it is, how it just sort of pops up.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's been the big fear with quarantine periods, is because people don't show symptoms until after they've been released from quarantine. So quarantine periods have been expanded, and everybody's just been very afraid of this unknown virus. But just as a comparison, the current estimated death toll of this strain of virus is around 500 people. Those numbers could be slightly higher because the vast majority of them are in China. They're in Wuhan City, where this originated. And China has been a little bit finicky about releasing their numbers.
Right, I mean, they're shady about their economic data, so I don't see why they would be completely honest about this, but, they're saying 500, it's not going to be 500,000, right? It's not going to be that far off.
Not. And on top of that, even if the number was higher, the people that are being infected by this are mostly those that already have existing symptoms, are already ill. If they already have pneumonia, if they already have lung issues, really bad asthma, this is affecting them more because it is a congestion issue in this disease. But just as a comparison, the CDC estimates that as many as 56,000 people die from the flu every year. So the flu, we're used to that. We don't freak out every year when flu season comes around.
Yeah, I mean,
we're used to it.
I freaked out a little bit when I saw that number at first, but I guess that's what we're dealing with here. So, I mean, as long as you're staying healthy, keeping on top of it, I'm sure everything will be good. And it's not nice to hear about those people who are suffering. We've got a great few trades for you today that's actually going to help this. But before we get to that, let's just take a look at the visual. What do you make of this map here, Leah?
So this map is actually something that I put together because there wasn't one that was cohesive. But everything that I found had scary like skull and crossbones on it for where the disease was infected, and that just doesn't seem accurate because several of the people that have contracted it in the U.S. are actually already healed. So People are getting better. This is not as scary as the media is making it out to be. As always, they're blowing it way out of proportion.
Right.
But you can see here, there's the areas that are infected by the virus so far. Most of it is in China. You can see it's really heavily in China. It hasn't reached Africa, hasn't reached South America at all. I think we just had our first case in New Zealand, but that was actually someone from Wuhan.
Right.
And it hasn't spread beyond that. So it really is just a very, very isolated area that's being affected by
Yeah,
this.
very strange that it's mostly northern hemisphere as well, but that could just be coincidence there. So how exactly does the coronavirus spread then?
Yeah, so it's a respiratory virus, and it spreads primarily through the contact with infected person through respiratory droplets. So that's if you sneeze, if you cough, if you wipe your nose and then someone touches the residue from that. So any kind of salivary discharge from your face is what's going to cause this. So just don't bite your fingers, don't stick your hands in your mouth, don't touch anything that you don't know if anybody else is touching.
Make sure you're using hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great financial show we got here, but we're also telling you how to keep healthy as well.
Yeah,
So nice little
it's
extra bonus.
important, so.
Well, there's a good point. You have to be healthy to enjoy the profits you
Exactly.
make, right?
Taylor and I actually just did an episode about how important it is to stay healthy
Right.
and how much healthcare can cost you. So
Right, yeah.
preventative measures in the long run are making you money.
Exactly, yeah. So what can people here, in the US, our viewers, or around the world even, do about this?
Yeah, so again, it's a very isolated thing that's happening. Everybody thinks that it's around the corner, and yes, be safe. As you said, use hand sanitizer. Make sure that if you are in a public place that you're very aware of where you're touching, where your hands are, what's on your face. But even if you contract the virus, and there's only a 0.0003% chance that you will contract this virus, the likelihood of succumbing to it is less than 2%. So your likelihood of anything bad happening from this is very, very low. If you do feel ill, go to your doctor. If you have insurance, use it so that you can save that money. And if you do feel ill, rest appropriately, drink lots of fluids, and avoid contact with others. But those who have contracted the virus have been recovering within 1 to 3 weeks.
Right,
So
yeah.
it really is just kind of a severe flu.
I mean, if you have any symptoms, we would suggest do this, get some rest, go see your doctor, So let's talk about the profit from it then, right? Because I mean, it's almost like, it's a very sad subject, but of course we're going to turn to the money side of it. But of course, we're helping fuel the recovery of this, aren't we?
So just as a caveat, we are not supporting the coronavirus. We are not giving you profits from the coronavirus. We actually are going to give you some stock purchase options that will fuel the companies that are seeking to end the outbreak and find vaccines.
Right, yeah. And it's almost like the more that these companies are funded, I mean, we wouldn't just buy a company just for the sake of it. It has to look good for us as well, because we have to look out for ourselves at the same time. But it's almost like you're funding their research, because the higher their shares go. So we're looking at biotechnology. So Leah, why don't you just break down a little bit of what biotech is, because it ranges a huge span of subjects, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So biotechnology is very, very diverse. In this sense, biotech is one of the biggest industries that's seeking to find a cure for the coronavirus. All the biggest names in biotech and pharmaceuticals have been on the hunt for a vaccine since the virus was first discovered at the end of 2019. And though a vaccine has yet to be found, we are making breakthroughs in this process. And in the last few weeks especially, we've seen a big boost in biotech stocks because everybody's turning their attention to this industry.
Right, and I know there was one company in Australia that were able to recreate the virus, which is a huge step, because if you have that, you can hopefully create the vaccine, So we're heading in the right direction. And biotech's very interesting because, like I said, it covers a lot of different things from lifespan, to it sometimes teaches into the robotics a little bit, given that human element to these, when you see these robots coming out with the realistic skin and stuff like that, it's sort of interconnected. But of course, here we're looking at the biotech companies that are looking for these vaccines.
Yeah, so just to sum it all up, biotechnology, if you were to look up a technical definition, is the exploitation of biological processes for industrial and other purposes, especially genetic manipulation and microorganics. So that includes viruses and vaccines, because that is basically what a vaccine is. It's an incubation of a tiny virus that you put into your body, and then it teaches your body how to fight back against that virus.
Right, yeah. I know they do that with the flu shot every year. They take a strand or similar strand of the flu and inject it into you. So again, like I said, that even backs up even more the idea of Australia coming up with the recreation of it. So hopefully that'll be a huge leap in the right way. So biotech's getting this massive boost because you've got all these companies who are looking for a cure. And it would be a huge thing to be that biotech company to come out with the cure for this and come out with the vaccine. But people, it's another thing of that. We talk about fear trades all the time. So people are fearful right now. It's not necessarily reflecting the overall market. Well, it was a little bit, but not anymore. So people are jumping into biotech because of fear, you think? Is that?
I think so. I think that we're seeing a huge, because biotech includes pharmaceuticals and modern prescriptions and vaccinations. And so in this case, a lot of people are going out and grabbing those cold remedies, those vaccinations that already exist, vitamins, minerals, all the stuff that they can find to help them get healthy out of fear that this flu or this cold is going to reach them.
Right.
So I think in that we're seeing a general boost in the biotech market. And then we have some of the specific companies that are involved in the search for a vaccine for you today.
Yeah, absolutely. So this first one's Amgen Inc. Why don't you talk a little bit about what this chart is?
Yeah, so they're a general biotech company that's particularly known for its biopharmaceutical work. And they're based in California, which is one of the highest affected areas due to the vast number of evacuees arriving in LA from China. So it's just a really strong chart over the past few years, completely disregarding what's happening with the coronavirus right now. I really like that it's following this steady line of support down here. We've seen this really big boost, and then especially in February when this is all really taken off, you can see this huge boost in this past week or so. And they are working to find a general vaccine for this issue, and then they also do a lot of over-the-counter vaccines and cold medications. So people that are affected by the cold or who are worried about being affected by it are probably going out and buying something from this company.
Wow, yeah, and you said they're based in California, so they're on the front lines because that's our closest border, obviously, to China. So you can imagine this really hits home for this company, and they're gonna really fight for this vaccine. And we're not saying just one company is going to come up with it. There could be multiple companies, which is why we have some more charts for you here. Merck Co. Why don't you talk a little bit about this chart?
Yeah, so this one is much more in the general prescription medication and general and over-the-counter prescription medications. So Merck Co. is not currently seeking an actual vaccine for the coronavirus, but they have kind of channeled their advertising efforts for people that are worried about getting this virus as just a way to ease your aches and pains if you are contracting this virus. Because in addition to the vaccine, it still is going to take you a week or so to get over the cold. Yeah. And so people will take the over-the-counter drugs. And so they're one of the biggest providers of that. And you can again see that they have a long history of really, really strong growth. Then especially in the last year, we've seen some really good movement.
Yeah, it's a really clean chart there, strong trend line to the upside there. I would also say Merck Co., they'll also be able to, once the vaccine is discovered, say, let's just say Amgen discover it, create it. Merck Co. would be a good distributor. They've got such a wide network, so they'll be able to amplify the vaccine out to many different outlets. So this is a good play. So again, they could most if not all of these stocks could really benefit from the vaccine. We've got another big player here, Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, so Johnson & Johnson recently announced that they are stepping up to the plate to help search for a vaccine. So they have a wide range of health products, everything from antibacterial soaps to actual vaccinations. Yeah. And so you can see that they've got a really strong boost from the end of last year into this year. And as soon as they made their announcement, which is about 2 weeks ago, you can see that they had another big jump. Right. And again, I'm really happy with this chart. I really like the direction that it's going in. And then, as you said, once the vaccine is found, all of these companies are going to be profiting because once one company finds the vaccine, that information is going to become more or less public knowledge, and we're going to have as many companies as possible getting in on that and trying to distribute it to as many people as possible. Right,
yeah. So you've got these big companies who will be selling it for the biotech companies. They'll be buying the ingredients, the packaging for it, all that stuff. So Johnson & Johnson, another big one. All the hand sanitizer and all that bought through them as well is going to boost this stock. So another big player there. And then another massive company, Pfizer here. What can you say about this chart? Because this did have a little bit of a wobbly run not too long ago, but it's on the mend.
Yeah, so we can definitely see that they suffered a little bit, but I like to see that they're back above this red line here, and I'm actually really happy with this little bit of a bounce that we're seeing here. And if that continues in an uptrend, I think we're going to be back on track for some really solid earnings. And thanks to the news, I think that we are on track for some solid earnings.
Right.
Because this company is credited with making a breakthrough in the search for coronavirus vaccine just 2 days ago. So they think that they have found a way to reverse the strain that they have a cultivation of the virus that they've reversed. And if they can reverse it, then they're along the same lines as if they can recreate it, they're very, very close to actually creating a vaccine.
So, I mean, as long as all goes smoothly with Pfizer, I mean, I can foresee new all-time highs in the near future, which is one thing I love when looking at a chart. If it breaks into a new all-time high, there's no overhead selling. There's no people who bought up here looking to get out again. It's just clear skies. So just from a technical standpoint as well, if this one does head for that new all-time high, like we saw at Tesla recently, it went crazy. I'd really like to see this chart do that. And it is looking strong right now. So great opportunity to get in there. So Leah, this has been some great information. All of us here at WSI TV hope you can stay healthy through all this so you can enjoy your profits from these companies who are working hard to get the vaccine done. We're going to do our best to stay healthy here. We're going to be with you, as always, 3 times a week. There's no cold or flu symptoms running around, so I think we're good here. Leah, thank you so much for joining me today. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for watching the latest episode of WSI TV. Be sure to visit WSITV.com where you can subscribe for free with no contract and gain instant access to the secrets of self-made millionaires via the WSI TV Vault. So go ahead and claim this gift for free now at WSITV.com.